We don't need no stinking badges. If you get that reference, you're really, really old. Or at least you like old movies. But maybe we do. I don't know. Today on SDL, what we got for you is Mark Mulvany, who's an amazing guy who is coming to join us. And we're going to talk about DEFCON and DEFCON badges because they're really, really cool. And we brought all of our equipment so that we could talk to you about how you could set up a team and check it out next year at DEFCON. Stay tuned.
This is a Security Weekly production.
Welcome to Secure Digital Life. If your users are going to keep putting risky stuff on your machine, you're screwed. So, Todd can help us understand the complexity of blockchain.
I was reading through the show notes, man. Oof.
In binary, it would be 001. Who cares? But it's probably not significant anyway. Be like you're looking out through the HAL dot, like,
oh,
hey, Dave.
It's like Sims, but with,
It would be like Sims.
Instead of AI, it's only.
Accredited by Microsoft, Cisco, NetApp, IDLE, Oracle, and EC Council, QuickStart delivers high-impact, low-cost IT training through its cognitive learning platform in multiple domains. With QuickStart, you get an ever-growing catalog of courses, self-paced courses offered through a monthly subscription, virtual classrooms offered through an annual subscription, peer-to-peer learning, mentoring, official courses, certified instructors, hands-on labs, and more. For more information, visit www.quickstart.com. Use coupon code PAUL20 to get 20% off on all cybersecurity courses. Quick Start, creating world-class technologists. Make sure you register for our webcast with Javelin Networks entitled How to Get Attackers to Contain Themselves, which will be airing on August 30th from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Go to securityweekly.com/javelin to sign up today so that you can watch that super cool webcast. Today, I'm joined by Mark Mulvany, the amazing guy who was voted the sexiest guy at DEFCON by a large collection of people, and he came in to talk about DEFCON. So, Mark, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, it's fun to have somebody here that knows something about this stuff.
A little bit.
Yeah. Well, so you're at DEFCON. I was at DEFCON. In fact, all of us were at everybody in the building was at DEFCON. So,
recovering.
Yeah, and we all survived. We brought we left no one behind. Everybody came back that went, which was a first.
A plus.
But there were no unfortunate incidents or anything. Did you have any unfortunate incidents at DEFCON?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, well, that's good. No SWAT teams or anything like that. The Caesar's Palace personnel breaking into your room.
No, it was like, it wasn't at Caesar's Palace. So
yeah,
I didn't
me
have to
neither.
worry about that.
Yeah, I don't ever stay at the DEFCON hotel.
Try not to.
I did once. It was really bad.
Really?
It was when it was at the Alexis Park, and someone broke into the hotel system and do you know who Carolyn Meinl is?
No.
Carolyn Meinl wrote this book called The Happy Hacker's Guide to Mostly Harmless Hacking back in like 97 or something. Mm-hmm. And it was like the magicians telling everybody how they did the tricks. And so everybody hated her, and somebody put that she was staying in my room. And
oh, no.
Every night people came by and peed on my door. They wrote stuff on my door. They banged on my door. They sprayed fire extinguishers under my door. And I even had gone out and I wrote in like Sharpie on my door, Carolyn Meinl is not staying in this room. Please, but that was like DEFCON is canceled.
Right.
He was like, of course she's not.
Right.
I was like, oh, give me a break. But anyway, we were at DEFCON. What was your favorite thing at DEFCon?
Favorite thing at DEFCon? I think it's like, meeting new people, and it's like joining in was like with, it's like, things on the challenges, it's like, and learning new things. So I think that was definitely probably, what I like the most now.
Yeah, mine was Jack Daniels in a wedding dress with a swan pool float.
I missed that.
Yeah, that was actually not at DEFCON, so I guess it doesn't count.
Okay,
that was at the B-Sides pool party. So, but to me, I never have time at DEFCON to do all the things I would like to do. I went through it and I took this list of all these things that look super cool. Like all the villages were something I really, really thought would be cool, and then
too much.
Had to work. And, so we were like starting when they started, and we were leaving when they were leaving,
yep.
and so I didn't get around to a lot of that. But I did have a lot of fun, and getting to meet all the people that were there. So if you were there, and then maybe I met you. Especially if you came by the pool and sweated with everybody.
It's definitely hot out there.
Or came and got T-shirts at the vendor booth or whatever. That was a lot of fun, and it was so crowded. There were so many people there. It was nuts. I was out there at those 4 giant escalators, and it was just like, even with
at least
4,
they had 4 this year.
But even with 4, it was like the line was still going out of the area.
Last year they were doing construction there, and there was only 2.
Yeah. So
at least they had 4.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people at DEF CON. A lot of people, and between B-Sides, Black Hat, and DEF CON, there was 3 conferences in Las Vegas. If you're planning to go next year, now's the time to start planning, to be honest.
And I've already seen plenty of people start planning that, right now.
I really would. If you're sitting out there right now and you've been thinking about going to DEF CON all your life, I would really start right now, like getting hotel rooms and all that lined up, because they'll book up.
Yeah,
and the next thing you know, you'll have to stay in the Tam O'Shanter down on the Strip, which rents the rooms by the hour, if you know what I mean. But the sheets are in a vending machine, so it's... Sorry, Tam O'Shanter, or whatever. There's an old hotel down there that's just like one of those old 1950s kind of like a motor lodge. That's like, it used to, I don't know if it's even still there, but it used to be on the Vegas Strip, and it was literally like a motor lodge. And they always had a sign out there like $9.99 a night. And you're like, that's probably interesting for all your bed bug excursions or whatever you can do. But so
get in there early.
But if you didn't go to DEF CON, you did miss it. And unfortunately for you, you didn't get to meet all the people and have a good time. But you should go next year, because it's really cool. It's definitely worth going. And like I said, you can go to 3 conferences. B-Sides is cheap, so if you want to go to B-Sides, that's a really, really awesome conference. And then if you can't afford Black Hats, or if you can, and you can go to that one in the middle, and then DEF CON's on the back end. So
yeah, definitely B-Sides, get in early. I tried to get in the morning as a walk-in, and I came in way too late.
Yeah, if you do want to go to B-Sides, register as soon as they put registration up, because they do have a limited number of tickets.
Or it's if you actually book a room at the Tuscany, you're automatically in.
Exactly. So. That's how I got in. So I had a room at the Tuscany, and I actually got free tickets to the pool parties and everything else, so that was really nice. So yeah, book a room at the Tuscany right now, if that's where they're going to have it. I don't know, they probably will, though.
It's a very good possibility.
Yeah, that's a good place for B-Sides, and they have a big pool, and it was fun, and we had a good time. Went to Frank's Tiki Lounge and saw Jack Daniels' tiki on the wall and all that stuff. So did all the usual stuff. Got to go have dinner. We had dinner in the stratosphere, which is like 1,200 feet in the air, and there was a lightning storm while we were in having dinner.
That must have been fun.
Yeah, and then the power went out, and the entire restaurant was actually like moving. So it was literally moving.
Very interactive.
Yeah, it was quite. It felt like you were on like maybe a 30-foot sailboat. It was pitching, and I was like, that's interesting. They made everybody quit bungee jumping after the lightning showed up, which kind of was a damper. But I thought they should have kept that going. But for our show today, mostly. Thank you for joining us. For our show today, we really wanted to talk about the badges at DEF CON, because if you've never been to DEF CON, once again, one of the big deals at DEF CON is all the badges. And traditionally, every other year at DEF CON is a hackable badge year. So the odd year, whatever, like this year was a hackable badge. Last year, I guess, was not. Yep. They have some kind of interesting badge, but it's usually not a hackable badge. Although, if that doesn't suit you, there are plenty of other hackable badges that can be had. And we saw people walking around looking, like
Mr. T.
I think I saw somebody with at least 7 badges they were wearing. That were all live.
I think that's probably in the low end.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's obviously many more than that, but I actually saw someone with 7 badges that they were wearing. I think my favorite badge that I saw that I really wanted that I don't have was Hack for Satan.
Satan badge?
Yeah, I really liked that badge, and I thought it was really funny and amusing, and I wasn't able to get one. You had to get it before DEF CON, and next year I may try to go in. You have to watch their Twitter feed, and then they announce it, and then I don't know, you draw a pentagram on the floor and sacrifice. Yeah, I don't know. It was all really complicated.
Yeah, there was definitely like a major ritual in that seance. It's like getting 5 badges together.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was
getting those infants' tears and stuff together was a real hassle. But there's tons of badges you can go get. There's badges you can get before DEF CON. There's badges you get at DEF CON. There's secret badges. There's badges people have made themselves, and on and on and on and on. So we're going to talk about a couple of them. Now, we're not going to tell you how to solve the badges, because that is not our objective. We just want to talk about how you might plan to do this for yourself in the future, because all these badges had complicated problems to solve just to do the badge. So let's talk about the DEF CON 26 badges.
DEF CON 26 badge.
I have mine. So mine's purple because it's a vendor badge.
I got the human badge.
He has a human
I
badge,
had a
which
human
is
badge.
that's the standard. Human is the standard issue kind of DEFCON badge. There were also badges called goon badges, which were the DEFCON sort of security people.
Yep.
There were several of those. There was a press badge.
Vendor, call for papers.
Artist. That was the guy that was doing DJs had artist badges. They had press. There was one called CFP.
Yep, that was call for papers.
I have no idea how you. Maybe there were people that ran the call for papers track or something.
Possibly.
I don't know how you got a CFP badge.
I know it's I heard that it was like 26,000 or 27,000 badges.
Yeah.
Most of them were human, and I think it was I don't know if it was the call for papers, but there was only like 30.
Well, I had a lot of people come by for mine because I had a vendor badge.
Yep.
And I know you can't see it on the camera, but all the badges here on the edge have, I just said the edge for John's sake, you know who you are. But basically, they have a bunch of little connector pins here on the edges. So there's 6 connector pins. And those 6 connectors were used so you could, and we're not going to do it, but so you could actually attach the badges to each other. And that allowed the badge to then get additional capability that it didn't have when you started. And that turned on all these lights. And the objective was to get the green guy down into the control room, which is different. All the badges are somewhat different.
And that actually, it's like the goal was actually to get the actual DEFCON
well,
letters.
yeah, ultimately, you had to turn on all the letters. So
it was all red or all green, depending on which future you're trying to go for.
And the badges are all different. So mine is different than his. So my little puzzle game was different than your puzzle game. The badge also had a connector. Mm-hmm. So if you had a micro USB-B connector, you could plug this into a computer, and you could actually do all this stuff from the computer screen, which was how I was actually fooling with it, because it was a lot easier than trying to push these. These are all little capacitor buttons here that you touch, and they had up, down, left, and right, and then they had a plus and a minus that caused the guy to move around the screen. And you have to try to solve a puzzle. So there's a text puzzle that was inside of the badge that you could solve. Some of those things actually had hex codes in them. Yep. Did yours have hex codes?
Yep. It was there was a hex code in mine. I think it's if depending on how you interacted with it, you could have more or different hex codes, different messages.
Yeah, I mean, mine didn't have any hex codes. I went through all the text in it. There were no hex codes, but it had a lot of clues in how you did this and
I'll have to play with that later.
Yeah, no, this is so this is what that badge looked like. A lot of people obviously went straight to their room and spent some time talking about these badges. Let's talk a little bit about what kind of things you might have taken with you to deal with these badges if you were gonna work on the DEFCON badge.
I mean, definitely like you said, connectors. It's connect things up to your laptop, programs on your laptop.
Right.
It's I used Screen. It's on Ubuntu. It's for that connection.
I think having connectors is something I didn't think about in advance, because I happen to have one, but I have these forensics toolkits that have connectors.
Probably should have brought that.
Yeah, I have a big a suitcase-sized bag. It has, I think, something around 500 different types of connectors in it. Yeah, you probably don't need all those, because it has something for every cell phone that's existed ever.
I was just about every version of USB connector, though. Probably want to bring.
I would say all the USBs, because that's a standard kind of connector, USB-C, so you probably don't need Lightning. But I had an iPhone, so I didn't have one, but I got one, so I was able to connect. Now my badge is actually broken from people badging with me, because they kept coming up to the T-shirt booth and connecting, and a lot of them were a little rough with my poor badge, but it still works. This particular badge didn't really need a lot of tools really to work on.
I think it's for general, I think it's general tinkering. No, I think it's I mean, of course, reading up after the fact. It's all the different things you could have done. I mean, soldering, heat guns.
Well, yeah, one of the things I said we were going to solve these, but one of the clues I had was you need to reverse this 180 degrees.
Right.
And I was wondering if it was this microprocessor that needed to be reversed, and I was thinking, yikes, that's not a modular component. So, so one of the tools that I would probably tell you to take with you.
Definitely soldering iron.
Nice. I have a soldering station even, so you can set the temperature. That's an more expensive one than if you just buy those little $20 ones.
Yeah, I got as a Weller WP35.
Yeah, and
simple.
They even make the little butane ones, which I don't like, but some people like those because they're really cheap and they're really portable, and you don't need an outlet or anything. They just have butane and you light them.
I think I got one from HackerBox. It's a USB powered.
Yeah, and that's always fun. But mostly to work on this, all you really needed was a connector. I mean, I guess to do that 180 switch, you're going to have some skills. We'll talk a little more about that in a minute, but just to get to that basic setup on this, you only really needed, just the USB micro B.
Yep.
And beyond that, you probably could work on this badge a lot. Then you had to run around the conference and meet people.
Yes.
To try and get your badge connected to as many badges as possible, which included bad people who would put red guys on your badge.
The goons aren't bad guys.
The ones I met were. So you know who you are, goons, and because they acted nice, and the goon came up while I was selling T-shirts and was like, "Hey, do you mind if I badge?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, go ahead." He didn't even approach me some scam. It was just like, "Oh yeah, sure." I was letting everybody use it, and he was like, "Haha, gotcha." And I'm like, "Oh gee, well, no free T-shirt for you." In fact, for you, they're $20. So yeah, but then you had to try. Yeah, there was a lot of that kind of stuff. So there was a combination of things that went into solving this badge,
Yep.
which was not just a matter of pushing buttons or playing a game. It was like there was a whole sort of collection of things, and it expanded. So the thing we all dread, which means we have to socialize. I love problems I can sit in my room and solve. Not so much the ones I have to go chase around a conference and touch people. That kind of makes you want to get out the FISA hex and or whatever. And my gloves are down here in the box. So, but I think I badged with like more than 100 people. So if there was some disease you could catch, this has it. I assure you.
All right, so it's like we'll connect it to your laptop and play with it later.
I didn't learn that in health class. I guess I missed that day where it's so we both have another badge that we want to talk to you a little bit about. And like I said, there were many badges, and it's not to disparage anyone's. It's just people. If you want to send us your badge that you designed, I'll put it on the show later. But these are the badges I was able to acquire because
Yep.
I was busy at the booth. So every time I would think I want to go down to the village and see if I can get some more badges. Yeah, they were closed.
Yeah.
So that's the way that goes. But the other badge is Darknet, and Darknet is a really, really cool group of people that put serious amounts of time,
Lots of time.
into designing badges every year for DEFCON. It's really cool that people are willing to do that. Code Commander, thank you so much.
Command Code.
It's not Command Code. I didn't put that on the slide. Command Code was the guy who was so nice to give me a badge and let me take it so I could show it on the show. And Mark did all the work to put the badge together. As you'll see, I did not. I will one day. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. I had to do shows and stuff like that.
It's all about time.
But Darknet's badge is super, super cool. And that badge started with like just a plate. And this badge is not assembled, mind you. It comes in many pieces of little tiny components
and disassembled
microprocessors, circuit board that
assembled.
You have. So this is what it started with. Yeah. So mine started with this. Mark's got the. It's like a cooking show. And after we pop this in the oven, and after about 7 hours, boom! It's like, look at that
badge.
If you ever want to feel frustrated, watch cooking shows or art show. Art's another one. It's like they go, "Oh, watch this! I'm going to paint a happy little tree," and I'm
why
mine doesn't
not
look
like that. Yeah,
mine looks like a smudge, and then my cat just ran off with the paint. So, but this is what the finished product looks like. That starts with just this circuit board. So, one of the there's a whole. This is actually a working computer. So this is not just like
This has Bluetooth capabilities, Wi-Fi.
This is too.
Yes.
This also has a microprocessor on it, but this thing actually has its own screen. And so I know you can't really see what's on the screen, but there's a menu-driven system on here. And what's it coded in? Do you know?
That I don't know.
Okay, I didn't know if you saw it. It's okay. I didn't know if you could see it at that level when you were working on it or not. But it's got its own like little LCD screen.
Yep.
That is maybe the size of like a airmail stamp.
It's like oh gosh, it's like I can't remember the
It's
specs
a
off
flip phone. It's like this is what my phone used to look like in the old days,
right,
when you had the first versions of flip phones. So we were talking a little bit about solving these problems. So one of the first things in this problem, and we're not solving the problems here, but one of the first things in this problem was a crypto. So there was an actual crypto cipher printed on this breadboard, or what do you call this? This is a separator board.
They call it. It's like they call it just an acrylic. That was literally just to actually.
It's a separator board. Or to protect the back, yeah.
Protect the back and also to attach the battery, so the battery wasn't flopping around.
You got the battery.
If you can kind of see that a little bit.
So that the battery, it goes on the back of the battery goes on the back of the board, and then that keeps you from touching it or having it flop around,
right.
Which would be kind of a drag.
Yeah, it's like if you don't have that, or if you don't have the tape, it's like the battery's dangling, and that could be bad.
Oh, I should have put tape in my toolkit.
Two-sided
tape.
Two-sided tape. Yes.
But so there was a crypto printed on the back of this, so that was a sort of something before you even get started with the rest of it.
It's
like,
a challenge,
man.
figuring out, okay, what exactly does this mean? I know. I think I probably looked at that. It's like at least multiple times a day. I think it was Friday night. All of a sudden, it went like, oh, that's what that is.
Right. You sobered up and then. But no,
I mean,
the minute I saw it, I was thinking, like ASCII and stuff like that, because the minute I see numerical codes, I'm thinking, it's probably an ASCII code.
Possibly, yep.
Yeah, and again, like I said, we're not here to solve the problem for you, but it was just.
I think again, it's like this along with pretty much everything else, is like all the different challenges, in the darknet badges, like it gets you to think, it's like
right.
Think outside the box, and it's like work on your searching skills.
Yeah.
Because there's definitely a lot of things that I didn't know that it's definitely had to go in and search, and it's like it can take out is this a number? Is this a base number?
Right.
It's like what kind of base numbering systems do we have? And
yes,
and learning all sorts of craziness.
Well, if you don't know hex, we have a show about hex. If you go back in the archive and look, there's a show explaining hex. I don't think we've ever done a show on octal, but it really works just about the same as hex, because
it's all just base numbering.
Yeah, it's just about using 3 bits instead of 4 bits.
Base 2, base 3, base 6,
exactly.
Base 8, base
so
10.
It's pretty straightforward kind of thing if you think like that, and you have to kind of get used to thinking like that. Cryptos are always down in that sort of category for me. It's about practice, and it's about learning to solve puzzles and thinking about puzzles. And with a lot of these kind of cryptos, you have to think about what is it I'm trying to uncover.
Yep.
And because you think, well, I'm probably trying to uncover some kind of a website or something that I could get to, so I'm like, okay, I'm immediately thinking letters and numbers and things like that. So that's a sort of a starting point for that. What else could you do on the screen? There was a whole menu system there.
You can, again, it's like, it's Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, so it's like you're able to pair with other badges. So if Doug had his assembled here, it's like we'd actually be able to pair.
Notice how you said if I had mine. I got it. Yeah, I got it. I'm there.
It's like it has Bluetooth, Wi-Fi capabilities. So you're able to interact with other players. You're able to interact with others, like non-playing components.
What's the connector on this one? How do you connect them together? Is it the same thing?
So actually, it's like connecting the badges is actually over the Bluetooth,
it's over Bluetooth
and the Wi-Fi. It does have a USB micro.
C, is that a C?
I think it's a USB micro.
Well, micro A, B, and C. I think it's a micro C is what that is. It's a flat one.
Standard, USB connector these days.
This one's a B, so maybe it's a B. It could be. Yeah, I think it's a B, actually.
But that is like, used to charge the battery. I actually haven't connected it to my computer yet,
That was really scary when I connected this to it. I actually connected this to a virtual machine. I was really, really scared of this. I was like, I don't want to connect this to my computer, and then my whole screen goes dark, and it's like, thank you.
It's like I had a separate computer, that I played with. It's like at DEFCON, it'll pretty much wipe it later.
Well, and most people take disposable computers to DEFCON, so I wiped mine after I came back.
But yeah, so it's like again, you were able to participate in some of the challenges that they had. Some of them did deal with interacting with other components. It actually has, it's like a health. Actually, one of the things I like about the darknet and their challenges is that it forces you to actually interact with the other villages in DEFCON. So you're not just hanging out on the DEFCON floor. It's not hanging out in the contest area. You are going to whether it's the biohacking village, the Blue Team Village, Crypto Village, etc.
Yeah, there were a lot of villages.
I
couldn't even get in the biohacking village. The line was so long. I was like, what are they doing in there? I really wanted to go in there and see. But
But yeah, one of the interesting things, it's like about this one is like you could, again, interacting with other components, they actually had quote unquote infections. It's like
oh yeah, you showed me that.
Showed you that. It's like avian flu, measles, tetanus, whatever. So if you interacted with
toxoplasmosis was on there.
Toxoplasmosis, yep. And if you interact with them, you can get infected. And in order to cure yourself, or it's like rid yourself of the disease, you actually had to go to the biohacking village. And in the biohacking village, there were, it's like there was information on how to inoculate, how to inoculate yourself. So it was like it was
prepare to spend a lot of time standing in line to get into the biohacking village to cure yourself of toxoplasmosis.
I think there were definitely I know people who were walking around. They actually did one. It was the color of lies, and part of that was actually following clues to go to other villages to interact with them, and then come back, with
I get this feeling somebody's trying to get us to talk to each other, but
it seems like between the DEFCON, as a whole, as well as with some of these, it's like
it really did. I was getting that vibe off of it. It was like instead of going back to your room and hacking this badge, I mean maybe that's why they want to keep you active, because otherwise you take the badge and you go to your room and I'll see you in 3 days and fly home, and it's just kind of like, because that's what I would want to do, really.
Yeah,
I mean, to be honest
definitely
with you,
was like the need for a desire to interact and and collaborate on things.
So I thought we should talk a little bit about then planning for your future badge ventures. I brought a whole bunch of stuff. So I brought a whole Pelican case full of stuff that I have. This is one of my. I don't know what I call this I have a forensics case, which has got gloves and connectors and things, but I kind of combined some stuff from them. This was, I don't know, this was just more like my, I can't even gonna say what I call it, but this is the bug out kit of like, I may need this to survive the coming apocalypse. Although, I don't know why, but I can trade these things. I can trade this.
You could trade that, it's like,
after the collapse of civilization, I'm going to convince them you can see the future through this.
There you go.
So it's like, see, this is a magic box.
Sometimes like, hey, the things that don't understand is magic, so.
Well, I would probably be a soothsayer after the fall of civilization. So I'm going to use this to see your future, and you're going to pay me, and that way I survive. It's like, oh no, I see you thinking about killing the soothsayer, and this says if you do that, you're going to be eaten alive by worms. Yeah. So the gods said no, you can't kill me today. And in fact, it also goes on to say you should give me 25% of everything you have. So bring it on.
I like that. But
this is actually, if you don't know what this is a one-hand device. So it's a gadget for working on small components, and you can clip things on it and hold them if you only have two hands. And it's really, really tough to work on electronic. I used to use it for guitars, but if you're working on like wiring and things or circuit boards, it's really handy to have a way to clip this on there so you can work on it and not have to try to hold it with one hand and hold a soldering iron, because remember, the next tool I would give you is Mr. Soldering Iron, which we mentioned before. When you have to solder, you got two pieces of this.
You kind of need the soldering iron and
soldering was not designed for humans. I don't know who designed it, but it was never designed for people, because it takes two hands to solder, and the thing you're soldering is a third thing, guys.
And it's moving around on you.
Right, and you can't keep it still, and then the solder's going everywhere, and you end up with all these horrible scars, and the hotel room is burning, and all these fun things.
Caesar comes and takes your soldering iron.
Speaking of which, you're supposed to wear safety glasses.
Safety is important.
So these are lab safety glasses, and not only that, they're super cool and stylish too.
So very stylish.
I mean,
they come in all sorts of different flavors and colors now.
Oh yeah, I mean, and you can just get dates with these like crazy. I mean, wear these to the club. I mean, make a statement, and I'm telling you, it's the modern age, so you have to have that.
Yes.
But you definitely need a soldering kit.
Yep.
Other stuff that I have in I have hemostats. These are surgical tools, and they're so useful because I have curved ones. So these are surgical clamps, and these are straight ones, and you can get all kinds of them in all sorts of sizes. So you can get like giant,
hemostats or tweezers.
Tweezers. I didn't bring my tweezers, but I have a whole bunch of like tweezers. My favorite word.
I think
actually.
It's like dealing with some of the small components, or it's like if you have to like desolder, resolder.
And I have to have these because I'm old. You may need them too. These are magnifying lenses, and it's got a light on it.
Not quite yet.
Yeah, well, it's got a light on it, so you can actually see what you're doing while you're working on it. And not to mention that, but the magnifying lens is pretty helpful for some of this stuff too, because you may need to look at these little tiny numbers written on these microprocessors. That's not a microprocessor, but they're written on something on the board, so you can look it up and figure out what it is. Because a lot of people I know were doing that.
And even checking your solder work after the fact.
Yeah.
You know, it's like because I mean, some of the components are very, you know, it's like are very small, so it's like, you know, making sure that you've soldered things right.
And one of the problems with soldering is you have to be good at it. If you're not good at soldering, you're gonna have a problem.
Is, you know, things aren't going to work, things aren't going to connect, things aren't going to light up.
And when you start looking at these boards, you'll see that a lot of little pinhole connectors are really, really close together.
Yep.
And if you accidentally get solder across the two of them, weird things happen.
I actually had that happen to me. You know, it's like, you know, during soldering, I had to, like, you know, it's like desolder that.
And that leads you to desoldering.
Yes, it leads desoldering.
And you can buy a desoldering or a solder sucker, which is like, it's almost like we used to use a syringe.
Yep.
So you could actually it's really just a syringe, but they get them with little bulbs and things to suck the solder up. You get it hot, and then you suck the solder off of it to clean it up.
Well, there's a desoldering pump or even a desoldering wick.
Well, yeah, there's that. I never could get that to work.
Yeah, the wick. It was like I you know, yeah.
No, I've seen people do it. I mean, I have a friend
it can't be done.
I have a friend who's like the master solderer of the world. He's trained by the military in soldering. I mean, literally, he like went to like the Air Force Academy for soldering or something like that. I mean, and you know, the guy can do these amazing tricks with solder.
Oh man.
Me, I'm more like, oh, it's all over me, and now everything's burning, and oh no. But it's really good. We'll talk a little about practicing. This is the other thing I brought this is a nice toolkit actually. They don't pay me, so I'm not giving the name out. But this is for working on cell phones. But it's got all these little tiny tools in it, including tweezers and weird dental tools that look kind of freaky. But they're, you know, it could also be used for torturing people. You know, you just take this and show it to them and go, okay, let me tell you where I'm going to put this next, or you tell me how to solve this problem. Okay, you solder my board up, or guess where this is going, and pretty quickly you'll have all your problems. Don't do that.
Imaginations run wild.
Exactly. But these are really nice toolkits to have. They're compact. You can throw them in your suitcase and probably not get grabbed by anybody. I also brought electrical wire, which I don't think you really needed for any of this. No, but if you did, this is, you know.
But it's like, you know, that's one of those things where, you know, it's you have it, you know, it's like if you have it, not need it. You know, rather than need it, not have it. They
sell a lot of strange things in Caesar's Palace, but they don't sell electrical wire.
No, they don't sell electrical wire.
You know,
I think, even with a DEFCON, it's like you needed to be able to jump things.
Yeah, it may be in the bondage shop or something, but I don't know. Yeah, we can't go there. And I also brought my electrician snips. So these are really useful because if you put components on boards, they have wires sticking through the bottom, and these are little snips that actually will snip. Yep. You can use a wire cutter for it too, but these are nice.
Like flush cutters.
Yeah, well, these almost do that, and they're really effective at going. And I used to.
Yeah, you will have leads that stick out about yay, you know, and so you want to trim those back so they're not sticking you.
So all that stuff, I mean, it's a bunch of stuff. So you might actually need an extra suitcase, and I would check it because they're not going to like this when you go through security.
Yeah, TSA does not like things over 7 inches.
Yeah, especially scissors and lots of weird, creepy
knives,
torture tools and stuff like that. But all those have websites, and we put links to a lot of the websites on the show notes. So if you want to check out the Darknet badge and the instructions or whatever, you can check that out, and you can see how those badges work. At the end of this, I guess I would talk a little bit about if you really want to go do this at DEFCON next year. I personally, and I usually don't say this, I would probably want a team.
You know, it's like a teams, having a group of people, you know, whether you form a team beforehand or you, you know, join in with, you know, it's like a group of people on site, having a group of people to throw things against and, you know, it's like just collaborate. I mean, my
experience with crypto and my experience with anything that's got a puzzle in it, every time you add a person, you do better.
Yep.
I mean, just flat out, you really need to have more eyes because you'll get bogged down looking at this, and that other person will walk up and go, "Oh, that's octal," and you go, "Oh, are you kidding me?
Yes,
I've been doing like math for 4 hours, and it's what do you mean it's octal?
Right?
You know, I think I solved Fermat's last theorem, but it's what?
Having somebody, you know, to have like, you know, a fresh look at it. I mean, there are many times where I have asked my wife, you know, it's like, "What do you see here?" And she, you know, she answers and. Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, and especially with people with different mindsets. Like my wife has a very different brain. She has a really good brain, but she has a very different brain than mine.
Yep.
And she sees things from she's very good at puzzles, but we solve things very differently. I mean, I'm like Wild West, and she's like very methodical, and, she just, and I mean, I guarantee you she would solve this before I would. My solution would be more interesting, but hers would work better.
Right.
The other thing we were talking about was somebody on your team should know how to solder, and maybe more than one somebody, because the first person will burn themselves, and then you'll need that other person.
Be able to teach the other ones, who may not know.
And hacker boxes you put on there was a great resource for that.
I signed up for hacker boxes after DEFCON last year, and I mean, they had DIY kits, that practice your soldering.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of them. I put some other links from like Amazon and other places in there, and they're not expensive, so you can get these for your Cyber Patriot team or anything that you're working with. Practice, because you do need to practice soldering. Even if you've soldered before,
yes,
you probably need to practice again, because you get really rusty at it. And this is all small precision work. So unlike big sloppy guitar solders, which you can get away with a lot, this stuff takes a lot of concentration, and you have to be
patience.
You have to be patient, and if you screw it up, it's going to cause a major problem. And your guitar, it just hums. But in here
things just the magic smoke disappears and cannot be put back in the box.
So for my team, I would probably have 2 people who could solder. I would like to have a mathematician.
That would be nice.
I mean, it doesn't have to be I don't mean like a PhD in math from Stanford, but I would at least like to have somebody who likes math, crypto, and crypto puzzles and things like that.
And be able to recognize, the different types of crypto.
And then I would mix them with the person who doesn't, because that other person is going to be the one who doesn't see it from that perspective. It says, oh, wait, I think if you just turn this backwards, it'll
That's
actually...
just binary.
Or something weird where the mathematician is over there working, and then they go, if you just hold it up to a mirror, I've seen those.
Yes.
But you need a solderer, and the other person I would probably on my team is a programmer. Or better, maybe a networking programmer, because this had a lot of networking components to it as well. So you need somebody who knows. I mean, a lot of us know how to do Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, and most people do at this point in time because we have phones and things. But make sure you got somebody who at least has that sort of that techie skill set thing. That's not the hands-on stuff. But now, if you had a C programmer, a Python programmer, or something, because all this stuff was done on Linux boxes or Arduinos or something, which all is Unix based. So if you've got that Linux person who can write Python scripts, they're going to have an edge on just getting through the menu part of it. And maybe there's other hacks in there as well, or you need to write some scripts yourself to actually decompile this thing, or I don't know what all might be involved.
No, there's probably. I mean, it's like I know there was one challenge that had to deal with some JavaScript examples.
Yeah, exactly.
And. Yeah, unfortunately, it's like that is definitely an area that I am working on. I had to manually copy and paste a whole bunch of stuff in order to figure things out.
That works too.
Yeah, it's like it does work, but there are definitely much quicker ways of doing things.
Yeah, but so being able to do that, and then the other thing I will tell you from experience is have a scriblarian. That's the person who takes notes. And a scriblarian is somebody who sits there and writes all this crap down, because as you get involved in these, and these are not simple problems. These are not just like, oh, all you really need to do is go up, down, and it's done. These are complex problems that involve a lot of time. And having somebody who takes notes, and I tell my students this all the time, I had to learn this too, make lab notes.
Yep.
How did you do it? What did you do? And what have we tried? And what worked?
I'm still trying to remember and download everything that I did during the week.
And if you actually have a designated person, the people that are really focused, the person can make notes while those people are working. And you can take turns doing that, because nobody wants to be the scriblarian. Everybody wants to be the solderer until you burn yourself real good. And then you won't want to be the solderer anymore. Then you'll be like, oh, I'm the C programmer. Thank you. I'll be in the other room where the bar is. But just let me know when you guys are finished with the fire.
Right.
And that kind of thing. But seriously, that there's all lots of fun, and you should think about going. I will warn you, if you are planning it, look way in advance, not just for your hotel rooms, but if you want to be in badge challenges, many of them start up long before DEFCON. Darknets does.
It's like and not XOR
and XOR, Hack for Satan, all those badges that I saw, all were available well before DEFCON.
I think it's like keeping an eye on Twitter, hashtag badge life.
Some of them you had to get to DEFCON to do.
Yes.
But if you had your badge already assembled and you had been working on it and you knew what you needed to do, you could very quickly go around and you could do all those things.
I know the Darknet didn't actually release their badge until you were actually at DEFCON.
You had to get it at DEFCON.
Because it could be because of the part of the challenge challenge, didn't want to give anybody an edge.
Well, yeah, because that's an actual prize challenge. So some of the badges are just for the sake of having the swag.
Yep.
Other badges actually have contests where you can win prizes. So look ahead, though. Look at the ones from this year and see what they did. And you can make note of those websites for next year, because Darknet, I guarantee you, will have another badge challenge next year. So the more prep you do for that, and now that you've seen what a Darknet badge looked like from this year, you can assume probably they will have something. It won't be the same, but they will have something.
Last year was a rotary dial. It's like
I mean, they always have different challenges, but you can get into the mindset of those kind of badges and how they're going to do their challenge, probably because the same people very likely involved again next year. So obviously the Darknet one's going to need a soldering iron.
Yes.
So if that's not your thing, then you may find some of these other badges to be more your liking. Have any other things just to add to this, Mark?
Oh gosh, it's like practice, read. It's like generalist between ciphers, math,
Yeah, and there's tons of websites for this, and there's tons of kits you can get to practice all these kind of puzzle problems even just on Amazon. You can get them. So if you've got a team, if you've got a group, if it's just you, hey, get some and start playing with them.
Start to again collaborate, and it's like develop those relationships. It's like
I wonder if they have any badges afterwards. Does Darknet give away the leftover badges? Or?
I don't think so. I know that they were selling. They had a different version.
Well, yeah, those were $80.
They were $80.
Yeah.
I think they had a different version from previous conference. I forget which one it was that they were selling at DEFCON. I don't know if they sell things after DEFCON.
Okay, I didn't know if they had them later so people could practice or work on them. I mean, there's still a challenge there, even if you can't do all of it. But there's lots of other things you can find for capture the flag and all these kind of things to practice.
Definitely. Was it Aman Hardakar's mind maps? It's like our great resource.
And we put a bunch of links in the show notes so you can check those out.
CTFs.
Well, Mark, thanks for coming down here and sharing us all your badging experiences. And there's a big fun thing with that. And
it's definitely fun.
It's a blast. Get involved. It's a great way to learn more and meet other people that are involved. And even if you don't win, and even if you don't get the whole badge assembled, you can still be part of the crew.
Still be part of the crew. Still learn. Still come back out with something.
One thing I always learned at DEFCON is everybody's very friendly. I mean, everybody. We're all there for the same reason. Everybody's kind of like in the same mindset. I got lots of swag people gave me because I had on Rick and Morty shirts, and and I was like, I'm just glad somebody knew what this was.
Right.
Usually people are going, what is that? Are something wrong with you? Everybody's like, cool, and so you'll really find, I think, a lot of similar people to you if you're watching this show at places like DEFCON. At least that's always been my experience, and everybody likes to have a good time. And there were a lot of people there who weren't 21. I saw a lot of, much more than in the past, there were a lot of people there that were like high school students and things like that. So it's definitely, you can get in and it's friendly for that as well. So yes. I didn't see anything like that. There's stuff that you won't be able to do if you're not 21. But
there's still plenty that you can do.
There's more than enough stuff for you to do that doesn't involve alcohol or anything other illegal or legal stuff in Vegas. Yeah, I don't know what all's legal and illegal in Vegas. Vegas is very confusing to me because everything I always think I know about it, it turns out not to be true. And you're like, I thought that was legal here. And then, I'm like, no, you can't do that. And it's like, what? They said nudity was fine. No, anyway. Okay.
Anyway.
Thank you for watching the SDL Special DEFCON edition with Mark Mulvany. We'll set you next week for more fun on Secure Digital Life. Bye.